So everyone loves a good top 10 list, like Casey Kasem's top 10 countdown, or the NFL's top 10 quarterbacks of the last 50 years. So I thought I'd do a top 10 of the things that we miss growing up in the 70s. And I've got my notes here, and these things are not really in any priority, and it really would depend too on the mood that I'm in, the nostalgia that I'm thinking about. But I wanted to share them with you and kind of get some of your memories as well as in the comments. Let me know what you remember and miss the most about growing up in the 70s. So here we go. As you can tell, fighting the wind to get my notes open. All right, I think I would have memorized it. Anyway, the first one. This is, again, I just wrote these down thinking about what I really do miss about growing up way back then. Staying out and playing outside without anybody hovering over you, okay? And your mother saying, when those street lights come on, I want you home, young man. And then you'd leave 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, jump on your bike, and they didn't know where you went, and you didn't know where you were going. But it was fun. You were exploring all day long, jumping on your bike. I'll talk more about bikes in a minute. Second one is reading the back of a box of cereal while you're at the table having breakfast, right? There were a couple of things going on. Sometimes they would have puzzles. Sometimes they would just have jokes. But the really important thing about that box of cereal, and mine happened to be my favorite, Captain Crunch. Captain Crunch was that type of cereal where, let's say you poured the milk on it, and then you had to get up to do something, and you'd come back, and it was still crunchy. Same thing with Fruit Loops. I found that Fruit Loops and Captain Crunch, probably the worst things for you, could really take a licking and keep on ticking. But the real exciting thing about having that box of cereal was the prize. There was something in that box that they promised you'll find. And nobody waited to get to the end of the cereal. We went in elbow deep looking for that piece of plastic that we would open up and see what type of treasure we had. So that was awesome, right? We don't do that anymore. Third one. This might hit home for a lot of you over, late Gen Xers and some of you early boomers or late boomers. Saturday morning cartoons. Do me a favor, comment below what your favorite was. My favorites were the usual, the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo. Can't remember exactly if the Jetsons, which is a short run series, was in there as well, but those two, the Flintstones and Scooby-Doo. Number 4, this one kind of hit home just recently as we took our granddaughter to the playground. You had playgrounds that had that tilt-a-whirl thing where you jump on it and a bunch of your friends would spin it around and you're hanging on for dear life. And if you didn't get flung off or throw up, you consider that a victory. And then sliding down slides that were basically straight down. They were metal, they were hot, and you landed in dirt. Nowadays, as you well know, if you've got kids or grandkids, the playgrounds are all rubberized, they're plastic, and it's wood chips. You can't possibly get hurt. As hard as I try, I couldn't hurt anybody. And I mentioned earlier is going out and playing, but being able to jump on your bike and ride and just ride and ride, and I know when I was a kid, it would be through neighborhoods, and this is gonna sound weird, but through cemeteries, and then just cruising downtown like you own the place. Nobody gave you a second look, right? It was expected. Bunch of kids on bikes. We weren't vandals, we weren't gangs, we weren't trying to hurt anybody. Just out having a good time. So, bear with me while I flip my page here because the wind is wreaking havoc. Wreaking? Screwing it up. You tell I'm highly technology. I love technology. All right, this one is cool. This is drive-in movies, right? You're able to pile a bunch of your friends, and now this is later, right, in the 70s, when early and late teens, but it's still something I miss big time. is the ability to jump in the car with all your friends and go to see a movie on a big screen outside. You take that metal speaker and you hang it on your window and you get to watch movies. And tell me, what movies did you like to see? Or what movies did you see at the drive-in before you saw them in the theater? My first one was Jaws. Then it was, I think it was before Friday the 13th. It was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a big one. Star Wars was another one. We really didn't have any favorite movies that we wanted to go see. We just wanted to go see movies to hang out with our friends. And if you were lucky enough, you had a special person to go with, a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And we won't talk about what happened there because probably not much, right? So the other thing I miss, I do, and I don't know if you as well, commercials that were actually funny on TV. Commercials that made you laugh. Now we wait for the Super Bowl to see whether or not a $5 million 30-second commercial can make us laugh. That's pretty sad. One day a year we're looking forward to see commercials. But the commercials I like the most, or I remember, were the Alka-Seltzer commercials, if you remember that. And the tagline was, "I can't believe I ate the whole thing." That's what I say sometimes. Like last night when I got home from work, late, eating that whole sub. Oh, and then Mr. Whipple. You remember what Mr. Whipple used to say? "Please don't squeeze the Charmin." To sell toilet paper, we had a balding old man with a mustache and a bunch of middle-aged ladies that he wouldn't let squeeze his Charmin. I mean, that was funny. And the other one, too, was Wendy's. Where the old lady would say, "Where's the beef?" You know, she'd look down at the burger, and I think that was completely impromptu, not scripted, because the look on her face was pure, "What is this ripoff? Where's the beef?" I don't see commercials like that anymore. I see, I don't know, overproduced, ridiculously stupid commercials that make no sense. But that's just me. TV shows, the ones I miss the most, are the simple sitcoms, not dramas, about family life. You know, you get the Brady Bunch, the Partridge Family, things like that, where, you know, there wasn't a lot of innuendos, there wasn't any poor values being displayed. It was just goofy fun, family fun. You know, and in a lot of them there was a husband and a wife. The other ones, and these are younger ones, right? The Electric Company, if you remember that, Zoom, and Sesame Street. You know, you have to be young in the 70s to remember those, or younger to watch them. But my favorite, when I was growing a little bit older, was Gilligan's Island. You never knew what kind of knucklehead adventure Gilligan would find himself in, and you have to tune in next week to see what was going on. All right, number 9. This is one that a lot of folks who are a lot younger than you and I can't even fathom, which is bringing your film to the store to have the pictures developed. Where I was from, we had what's called a photo mat, which is basically a drive-in hut. You drive in, person working there opens the window, you fill out an envelope with your name, the type of film, when you want to pick it up. They would take it and then tell you in a week or so, come on back, and there are all your pictures. And you would see pictures of yourself first, because that's what you did. You flipped through the deck just to find pictures of yourself, and then half of them were blurry, and the other half you're like, but you had to pay for them all. And you had the negatives, that if you wanted to have another picture, you didn't just copy and paste it and text it to your friend. You had to have that picture redone through a negative. And you know, the other thing too is you don't remember that much about that, is that everybody in that company saw those pictures and knew all about your life. You didn't even think about that, right? Now everything's privacy. You can't see my pictures. What's the last one here? Number 10. Telephones with cords. Yeah, I know that's kind of weird. But I do miss that, and I miss it for a couple of reasons. One is that when somebody called, but you ran to the phone too late and they weren't there, you didn't know who it was. You didn't have caller ID. There were no answering machines. You'd have to wait for them to call again. And the other thing too is if you had yourself and you were lucky enough to have a 25-foot cord, you can go to the other room and talk to whoever you want, or hide yourself in the bathroom, which I know some people did, and have great conversations. without the fear of being eavesdropped by the NSA. So I wanted to share those things with you. I'd love to hear what your comments are, what things you miss most about living in the 70s. I think it's just a bit of nostalgia as I get a little bit older and I see how crazy this world is getting and how sad I am, and probably a lot of you are as well, to see that our grandkids are growing up in a completely insane world. When I say insane, you know what I mean. Well, hey, thanks again for hanging out with Popsie Guy. Just wanted to show you the beach. Once again, very blessed to be able to do this. Enjoy my time here while I've got it. And spend a little time with you. I want to hear from you. Don't be shy. Tell me what's going on in your world. Really love it. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.